Hey there, it's Krishna, and welcome to the May 2022 Housing Market Report. So today, before I get started, I just wanted to remind everyone there's definitely a lot of news out there, a lot of market confusion. So many things are changing. Stock market is on the decline. Just yesterday, one of the stocks I follow got cut in half yesterday just because they didn't sell as much as they had been before. They're still making profits, but so that market right there is very sensitive to data. It just goes to show that things can change in a hurry. Housing market is no exception to that rule, but we do rely on data, local data, national data, to come up with the best possible predictions that we can, and definitely want to add that to your toolbox every single month here on the channel. I know there's a lot of information out there. A lot of it is negative. We'll touch on that as well. But we want to keep you prepared for what is coming in the housing market. I'm not going to write off that. I'm not going to say there's never going to be a decline or never going to be a crash. It's most likely there will be. We don't know when that's exactly going to be. So many people are calling for it to happen right now, or this year or next year. No one can really tell you for sure. I can't tell you for sure what we're going to have as far as appreciation rates. I can make a best estimate based on what experts have to offer as far as what their opinion is, and then look at our market data to come to an opinion. And so that's what we're going to do here. First and foremost, some negative headlines to go over and how that might affect you. First at Wells Fargo, they start laying off in-home lending units. So they notice a decline in their business. We'll get to why here in a second. Flagstar Bank Corp also cuts about 20% of its mortgage staff via the housing wire here. And locally, San Antonio USAA Bank eliminates jobs, declining demand for home loans and refinancing as the reason. So refinancing, that last part, refinancing. So we all know that the mortgage rates are on the rise. And with mortgage rates on the rise, refinancing business is on the decline. I mean, it's like really non-existent. Who wants to refinance into a higher mortgage rate than what they have recently? So for the past 2 years plus, we've been looking at interest rates, below around 3% or lower. So who in that group wants to jump into a 5.5% interest rate? Not me. I'm not raising my hand for it. So as a result, we're seeing these layoffs in the lending community. So don't get that confused with the health of the housing market. Yes, higher interest rates mean fewer people can afford to get into homes. Overall affordability is not as good as it was before when the interest rates were lower. That's all by design. The Fed's trying to tamp down inflation, housing market included, but it's not something that's going to happen overnight, nor do you want it to be overnight. Really, if it were overnight, then you definitely would be crashing yourself there. But nevertheless, that is the path we're going on, is to tamp down inflation, slow things down, put some calm into the market, and hopefully get back to an equilibrium of some type. So let's dive into that, why we are not currently anticipating a housing market crash, specifically here in San Antonio. Now, lending standards, they're nothing like they were when the great financial crisis hit. And that's about right when I got my license back in 2007. If we look at this chart here, product risk. Okay, product risk leading up to the great financial crisis was just abundant. You had so many different products there you could get into to get a home. You had so many different loan types that you could get into and buy a home. So many different ways things could go wrong. And then borrower risk. Just the borrower themselves could come in, with a pretty low credit score. There were, really no credit scoring requirements. There were no extra overlays by the lender to get a home. In fact, some of the overlays that they did have were designed to get subprime borrowers into a mortgage. And talk about a recipe for disaster. So all that came to a head, here looking into 2008, 2009 time period, and that all went away. You had lenders go out of business. You had builders go out of business. So everybody paid big time at that time. And moving forward up and all the way through today, even the borrower risk is very, very low. You have very strong homeowners now as a result in their homes. People have stayed in their homes longer. So you have a lot of homeowners with high amount of equity. They are strong homeowners. They have higher credit scores. The products that they're in are safe, and in comparison to what they were before. So a big difference. To further illustrate that, we're going to look at cash out refinance activity. So if we look at the years leading up to the great financial crisis here, 2004 all the way up to 2008, a time period where you have millions of homeowners that were getting in with some of those bad loans, bad underwriting requirements, started taking out cash out refinance. So now you've got millions of people taking out cash out refis, going on vacations, doing whatever they wanted with that money on a cash out refi, and really didn't have any business owning the home in the first place, unfortunately. Then we have the financial crisis that ended up seeing millions of foreclosures. I believe about 9 million or so foreclosures. So lots of foreclosures happening at that time. Fast forward to 2014, we're coming out of the negative appreciation due to the financial crisis, and we're back to seeing some new cash out refis, but we have completely different lending standards. The homeowners are very strong. The cash equity positions are strong for different reasons. Yes, we have lower inventory. The builders are not building out the way they were before. We really do have a shortage of homes, moving forward. And then COVID hits. Okay, you can see how it drops off in 2020 because the interest rates were lower to help keep the economy stimulated. As a result, we see a lot of strong homeowners, very strong homeowners with good credit scores. They already have a ton of equity in their home, and now they're getting cash out refi, and it's not even it's not even touching their payment hardly. It's almost a zero. So $66 over, higher in 2020, $34 higher than they had in 2021. So people were able to take their cash out refis that did do the cash out refis, and it didn't even affect their payment. So they didn't fall into any more real debt that would affect their payment. So two totally different scenarios, and potentially two different outcomes lying ahead here. Okay, so we're still looking to see what and when this new outcome is going to come to a head. I don't know what that looks like. We'll leave that speculation to someone else. And as far as the home price forecast for the rest of the year, 2022, the updated forecast now comes in on average of 9% appreciation for the home price forecast. Just last month, the average home price forecast was about 6.5%. Okay, if you missed last month's video, it's about 6.5% on average. That has been bumped up. So despite the higher interest rate, despite everything that you're hearing, home price forecast for 2022 has increased. Moving in locally here to the sales price, median sales price here in San Antonio. This is the middle sales price, if you will. So most of the most of the sales prices you're going to find in the middle is 290,000. That's the average. That's as of March 31st. That's up 5% over the month before, and up almost 3% for over the last 3 months. We did have kind of a flat period there over the winter, kind of moving back towards normalcy. You know, things kind of pull back in the winter or slow down. We did see that a little bit, but we're now back off to the races again here in the spring. Over the last 12 months, 18% increase. In the last 24 months, 30% increase. So a lot of home sale price appreciation still there locally. Distressed property sales, something we always want to watch out for, and see where that is doing, because it will affect the market later. Currently, it's really next to nothing. 13 distressed properties to report in San Antonio, 1 in pre-foreclosure status, 4 of them in foreclosure status. They're actually going through the foreclosure process, and 8 that actually finished the foreclosure process. So really, I mean, just nothing to report there. You don't want to see foreclosures, obviously, or distress. If you or someone is in trouble, reach out to a realtor. It doesn't matter who. It doesn't have to be me. Get some help, because if you go through that foreclosure process, not too many scenarios where I see somebody walking away with nothing there if you can get it before it happens. And then we're going to look at here, estimate home price performance into the future. So even further down the line, up until 2026. This year, we're looking at 9%, as I stated earlier. And then the next 4 years after this year, we're looking at about 3.5%, a little over 3.5% year over year for the next 4 years. So a lot of appreciation still being predicted in the market. This, of course, is a national average. I can only assume that San Antonio is going to be higher on this. Unless something else comes onto the radar, we'll let you know what that is. Anything could happen. I do acknowledge that. So stay close to the channel. If you have questions, let me know. One more piece here. This is from Bill McBride from Calculated Risk. And Bill says, based on current estimate for the peak Fed funds rate, 3.25 to 4%, the 30-year fixed mortgage will likely peak at between 5 and 5.7%. There is some variability in the relationship, so we might see rates as high as the low 6% range. This all depends on inflation and the Fed funds rate, but I do not expect rates to move much higher than the current rate, although 6% is possible. So it's another prediction. Bill has a good reputation for making these predictions. Of course, anything could change, but that is kind of a piece of good news. If you're imagining the worst case scenario being in the 7s or 8s, or who knows, how high they could go, but 6% to me doesn't sound that bad. I remember being very excited when I first bought my first home at 7.25. I thought that was a great deal. So 6% sounds like a super deal considering what's happened in the market. So again, if you have any questions, reach out. Feel free to reach out to me on the channel. I'd love to hear your feedback on this video. Hopefully it helped you out in some way. Make the best possible choice for you and your household. Again, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video next month.